All right, wonderful. Okay, let's call the April of the Culver Redevelopment Commission to order. If you would join me in putting your phones on mute, please. And would you also please know that your participation in this meeting, which is highly encouraged, will be recorded. And by your participation, you are consenting to have your participation rebroadcast on the Town of Culver YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's call the meeting to order and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ginny, can we have roll call, please?
Marty Oosterbaan,
Here.
Sara Ricciardi, here. Gary Siler,
Here.
Sarah Jones is absent, and I am Ginny Munroe here, as our town manager and clerk treasurer.
I think Sarah may be on.
Sarah's line. Okay, Sarah.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Okay, thank you.
Right, so we've got everybody here, one fashion or another. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the March 19th meeting and the April 7th executive session. Ginny, thank you for putting those together for us. We've all had an opportunity to review it. Are there any additional comments or feedback for Ginny on the minutes?
Look good to me, and I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from both those meetings.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right, approved or motion by Ms. Ricciardi and seconded by Mr. Siler. I think we need a roll call.
Sure.
Oh,
Marty Oosterbaan,
yeah, aye.
Sally Ricciardi,
Aye.
Jerry Siler,
Aye.
Sarah Jones,
Hi.
Ginny Munroe's and I, so 5-0.
Okay. Moving right along, we've got a financial report. The quick. So not a big month last month. We started with total beginning balance $1,549.74. We had interest income in the amount of $4,183, and we spent a lot over $200. So we wind up with the March month end financial balance, account fund balance, $1,543.32.79. Thank you, Karen, for putting this together for us. Are there any questions on the financial report? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the financial report for March.
I'll make a motion to accept the financial report.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, moved by Ms. Ricciardi, seconded again by Mr. Siler. All in favor of approving the March financial report, please. Oh, we got a roll call.
Marty Oosterbaan,
Aye.
Sally Ricciardi,
Aye.
Jerry Siler,
Aye.
Sarah Jones,
Hi.
I'm an I.
Okay, we've got a couple of claims to look at. These were previously discussed and now have run through. So we have $2,833.17 for the facade grant, Mr. Arthur Holtz. And then we had a $900 expense incurred by the Visitor Center for the Travel Indiana promotional materials. Are there any questions with regard to the claims? In which case, I'll entertain a motion to accept claims for March.
So
Second.
Okay, moved by Ms. Munroe and seconded by Ms. Ricciardi. Roll call, please.
Marty Oosterbaan,
Aye.
Sally Ricciardi,
Aye.
Jerry Siler,
Aye.
Sarah Jones,
Hi.
I'm an I.
Okay, on to old business, the Main Street renovation project. There was a meeting and I wasn't there.
There was a meeting, April 1st, we met.
I'm going to turn to you.
Okay.
Give us a report on that, please.
And Karen as well. Jenny was there as well. Talked to the council, but we met at the library Wednesday. The expectation was, I think, met and then some. We had over 31 people at that. Some new faces, some familiar faces. and a blending of voices. I think the presentation went well. I think there was a pretty good understanding going into it what the data set was. I think there was some confirmation. The conversation started off a little slow, hesitant, but we had some ringers in the crowd that got people going, and the input was pretty solid. I think a couple takeaways for me, and some of it came after the meeting as well, because I think the conversation after the meeting was productive. One of the things I think I'd like to put on the table of the CRC for consideration is with the help that the Façade grant provides shop owners. I think there was also discussion, and it was voiced that foundations, utilities, internal assistance would some type of either a grant or even a revolving loan type program for repairs and improvements in the downtown TIF zones would be appreciated. And how that would work, I'm not sure. I've looked at other municipalities. There's examples out there. It's not unprecedented. But how that balances out, I've put to the CRC for consideration. Some other topics that came up in terms of support, existing business support was a large concern. Obviously, it's always interesting to think about and re-envisioning new, but also how do we support and provide avenues for growth for the existing businesses. The bank was a topic, and it's still there. That is a prime piece of real estate, and that should be on our radar as well. Apart from that, I think that this is in hindsight, I think, and I don't know if I shared this yet, but we did meet with Jen Gregory from Retail Strategies, and I don't know if we've had an opportunity as a committee to talk together on it, but that presentation was also revealing. It confirmed a lot and also introduced some new ideas. We have a split economy in a lot of ways. I think that was coming through from the presentation when they took a look at our 10-minute radius around this community. The market need is somewhat different than if you focus purely on the corporate limits. That need, surprisingly, I think 3 of the kind of the leakages that we have in terms of economic were surprising to me. Alcohol, lumber, I would assume, but they did mention hardware as well as automotive. Those 3 indicate that surrounding area. And I think that when we hear that, I think that says a lot to me in terms of how we envision the development of Culver and where we strategically place businesses for use. I think that we need to think about corridors around on the outside of our community as well as internally. And listening to the Retail Strategies describe our economy as being split is something that was always kind of in the back of my mind, but also I think as we develop strategies for development, I think we need to acknowledge that. I think it was acknowledged in some within the comprehensive plan. The next round of presentations are going to be focused more on the visitor tourism side. I think that they're going to look outside our immediate area and see where business attraction, possibly new markets can come in. But that was an interesting presentation. Apart from that, I haven't really followed up too much more. I'm awaiting to hear back. Some of the survey responses were great. I think 139. I think that number is resonating in my head. Let's say 130 and some odd change responses, and overall very positive responses. The meeting also took on a pretty positive tenor. I think 2 things come through from the meeting that I'd like to put out there too, is that I think there's a need to reorganize. I think people want to see a restructure and a reorganization, and bringing new blood into that organization maybe can revitalize. Let's be honest, there's some burnout from our former attempts, and people have spent a lot of time and done good things. They acknowledge that. Retail Strategies came in and were really surprised by what we already have on the ground. From the things that were mentioned specifically was the trails and the pathways, the downtown area in terms of lighting and the banners, those little things of, as well as some of the street improvements that we've already made were mentioned. Some of the opportunities are pathfinding. They mentioned, developing that pathfinding. And they want to really focus on small action steps. I'm looking forward to hear what they consider to be doable steps in this first year, getting those out in the community to see how they vet. That's it, Marty.
Kevin, when they say alcohol, are they thinking in terms of retail or restaurant?
Retail.
Okay.
Yeah, retail, Jenny, which that really surprised me.
Yeah, I was curious about it because we're so small and we have a liquor store. So, but yeah,
And they sell it at CVS.
They do.
sometimes you go through
Grocery store.
a small community and you see like 3 cigarette alcohol stores within 5 blocks and you're like, how many people live here? Yeah. I mean, I go to New Buffalo and there's like 20 marijuana stores within
You cross that state
quarter of a
line.
mile. Seriously.
I
I
know.
mean, Grant and I were counting on one intersection, 9 shops you
Yeah.
could buy marijuana in. And I was sort of like, okay, this is not got that huge population. And I compare that type of store to a cigarette store or liquor store. It was shocking to me. And I'm like, how do they sustain this many of these stores? Or is like literally every person in this county getting stoned?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? So I was intrigued by the alcohol one too. That you mentioned.
That was intriguing. I wasn't surprised by it. Something like Brian's Auto Parts, or we haven't had an auto parts store in the community for a long time. I'm wondering if that's not a potential attraction, because I think it would hold traction. You really have to drive to Plymouth or head over to Napa and Winnemac to get parts. And I think that's a convenience thing for guys working, or, anybody that's out there. The other thing I think that is key to me, and maybe I'm hearing what I want to hear, but I think there is an opportunity here to reorganize, to rally. I think we need to, as a community, think about how we want to restructure development or moving forward with some of implementing these plans, and think about an organizational structure that makes sense for efficiency and communication. When we get these plans in, I don't know what that looks like, and it's not really for me to determine. I think the more centralized moving forward with these plans we are, the more efficient and the more effective they'll be. Not having 15 different moving pieces to have to coordinate between, right? Not suggesting a dictatorship either, but something that allows for that efficiency. And I don't know what that is yet, but I think it's a question that when we start getting these action plans, I think we probably ought to consider as a community.
That was one of the things I found really interesting, that came up quite a bit at that meeting, was communication between the existing organizations in town as well as the business leaders, as far as organizing events, coordinating special events at stores, things like that to bring people in. I feel like there should be a really easy way to fix that, but obviously nothing's really as easy as it may sound. But I thought that was interesting. Quite a few people brought that up too, the communication between what's already existing.
And it seemed like, just like with the comp plan, when we did the Crossroads Culver team doing that planning work, one of the things that came up indirectly in some ways with your Main Street input meeting is we don't have plan commission planning people in the room for these. And in some cases, you could do some things from a zoning standpoint. So like someone brought up the empty building that the Academy owns, not the museum, but next to it, that used to be the Old Town Restaurant. I think at one point it might have been a Mexican food restaurant. And then it was the Sally's by the Shore and the candy shop.
It's an old Chinese restaurant that was in there for a
Yeah.
while. Is that
It's-
correct?
It's
Yeah.
been a number of things. I think the last thing was the candy shop maybe and the ice cream. But
Yeah.
there was conversation at the input meeting, unless it was the meeting after the meeting,
No, it was during the meeting, Jenny.
It was, right?
You're correct.
Mhm.
about how we have some retail spaces that aren't activated for retail or other purposes. So like that space currently is just storage, if anything, and it could be just empty. I don't know if the Academy actually stores something in
My
it.
understanding is it serves as an archive in the back.
Yeah.
One of the buildings.
So we talked about, okay, it's nothing on Main Street is zoned for storage, right? I think they're all C2s.
C1s, I
C1,
believe.
C2.
Yeah, they're C1s.
But we haven't also though zoned our Main Street where like, in Colorado, a lot of their more tourist areas are zoned where you could not have certain businesses on that main drag. Like an attorney's office would not be suitable because it doesn't bring enough foot traffic, for example. And we've never looked at doing anything that would we've never enforced what's currently on the books. So like we haven't enforced that you can't use Main Street for storage. But we don't have the problem that some small towns do where the property owner actually has a building stuffed full of stuff. And they're literally, it would take you weeks to clean out some of those buildings because that has happened in some main streets. And we don't seem to have that issue. But it really did make me rethink some of our zoning. I hope they'll take a look at that zoning too, like what are things you could potentially do, not to add obstacles for our business owners by any stretch, because you don't want to create more obstacles.
Hardships, yeah.
But can you encourage certain types of businesses to come in through zoning somehow? And then, Sara experienced a rough building project where, the guy who owns Subway said our processes are pretty streamlined. He went through the permitting process.
Yeah.
Got through it pretty quickly, and that's good to hear, but that's not always been the case, depending on what you're building in town. But between those comments and the one about the empty buildings, it made me think we have to look at zoning too. And we talked about that when we did the Culver comp plan. And I don't think anyone really engaged in that part of it.
Yeah, I think we just gone through I would call it an editing of our zoning ordinances. I wouldn't necessarily suggest it's a revision. There were some changes, but I think there's still some opportunity for growth and alterations with for consideration, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've already found 4 that I'm going to discuss with the planning, but I think I'm going to add that conversation to next Tuesday night, Jenny. It's not on the agenda, but I'll bring it in town manager's notes and try to put that in front of them about that specific issue of downtown. I think is something maybe that we need to consider.
Yeah.
We have it on the books and it's not being enforced. That's problematic.
Yeah. And a lot of what we've cleaned up in the zoning ordinances because we know about, the BZA hearings, for example. If you're giving variances on 20 out of 21, then you change it, right?
Yeah.
And there's been like cleanup of things that shouldn't have been left in there or should have been added at some point, which I think is great. We needed to clean some of that stuff up, especially when we transitioned to the county and some of it got a little.
I think what we did was
Messy.
clean out a closet, but I'm not necessarily thinking we're restructured.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But, and I know they've been thinking about things like creating a zone for an industrial, forget what they called it, for like an academy building,
Institutional.
institutional.
And that is that's mainly just so for the height
Mhm.
of the barracks dormitories.
Every time they build a library or whatever, it's or a new dorm, but it by nature ends up being too tall.
Right.
Did you notice that too also at that meeting? I think he asked like at least 3 times. When they didn't answer the question the first time, he asked it again, maybe midstream and toward the end, what could the town do for you?
Mm-hmm.
No one answered with they should do this, or, you know what I mean? So that was kind of interesting because I think 10 years ago that it would have been a different conversation maybe, because we've done some things in the meantime, like snow removal in the commercial district and crosswalks, and we've done some grants, we've done uniform lighting, we've done some of the things we're capable of doing. But no one I think I was one of the few people who said, we can improve the electricity on Main Street for events.
You did.
No one else was like, because I thought if I get it going, someone else will jump in on that,
Yeah.
and there wasn't a lot of, you should do these 12 things.
I watched body language when that question dropped twice. Not the first time, but the other two times it dropped. I think there's two categories. Number one, why bother? We've had this conversation. And there was arm crossing and sitting back in the chair. And then I saw the look of, I don't know what to say. Like the words were there, but they weren't there. And I think that represented maybe some different people that were there that don't have the familiarity with what the potential could be. But it was interesting. I think that maybe I'm oversimplifying, but I think we need to open that channel up and explore the possibility of what the town can do and make it a cooperative effort to re-envision and re-explore. And I think there's foundations that are set. I think the comprehensive plan says some things that we can do.
It was also nice to see new people and a lot of business owners. That was really cool. I think you guys inviting them the week beforehand was good because people showed up that I've never seen in some of these activities. Like, I think that's great.
There's still more out there too to come. So, yep. Thanks for
Were you guys there?
Yes.
Any thoughts, comments to share?
Well, I thought Sara had the best comment and saying that, the
This is
distinction
Wade McGee
between-
for the record.
Thank you.
distinction between the downtown and the uptown is uptown's for gathering and downtown's for shopping. And it made me think that, need to find ways to make the downtown shopping area for gathering as well.
A bridge between those two areas, bridging them, get that foot traffic to,
Yeah,
Yeah,
give
I think
people
so.
a reason to go down that way. and-
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Enable it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is my recall correct or misplaced that I thought Retail Strategies is going to be looking at the zoning
No, you're correct.
and provide
They're correct.
recommendations on their zoning?
When they left, Wade, just to follow up, because Sarah's comment and you had mentioned it. The L, I call it, from Main to Lake Shore, is a difficult turn. And I asked them to explore, what would it look like connecting through the pathway along the lake shore and Jefferson coming up and where that connection, even though you're going through the park and whatnot, is that a conduit to connect the two separate zones?
I could open a bar.
You could.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going right past Marty's place. And there's the name for the bar right there, Marty's Place. It rings out. Okay.
Well,
The-
even if you connect from uptown to downtown through the trail versus.
trail,
and then
yes,
back Instead of coming. Yeah.
It's difficult.
It's an interesting question to pose though.
I wasn't able to participate, but I was there for the discussion on the statistics, the phone discussion, and I think we need to bring that discussion to the broader group as well. If you didn't dig into that in the engagement session,
If anybody, I'm sorry,
I
Marty.
think we need to make sure we're comfortable with the numbers. There was some questions with respect to the number of students in town and what that would impact on the outcomes, if it would impact the outcomes. But my takeaway from that was that it was pretty sobering, frankly, that because basically they have an unbelievable amount of data. And they're not drawing just from BLS statistics, they're drawing from, 12 databases or so. It was pretty interesting how they get at this stuff. And in a lot of cell phone data. But they essentially are saying if it's more than 10 minutes, people don't come, right? So if you go out for a cup of coffee, if it's 10 minutes away, you'll drive 10 minutes for a cup of coffee. If it's 12 minutes away, you're not gonna go. So So there's certain things that you will go to, but you have to be within 10. So they just draw the 10-minute thing around town, around our main street. And then do the demographics just based on that. And the part-time residents are excluded from that. And then they say, this is what that demographic could support. It's not a whole lot. You know, there's nothing that they were able to say, well, you know what, if you put this here, this demographic is gonna, you know, buy that up, you know. That's gonna be a surefire winner if you do that. Which I thought, well, that's pretty interesting, because are we renovating Main Street for that demographic, or are we, you know, are we doing it for the part-time, right? And if we do it for the part-time, it's sustainable year round, right? What the whole question for me in this project all along is, what's possible? You know, how high can we shoot? We don't want to overbuild it, don't want to underbuild it. Right? And the first look at the numbers was pretty interesting, and it suggested maybe we can't reach all that high. You know, now we're going to take a look at what this next cut at the data, because that's going to bring in the seasonal and what ideas come with that. And obviously the spending power is very different with that group, but it's a fascinating exercise to me. And I want to make sure that everyone understands what the numbers say to us, you know, because I think it's a great creative exercise for us, and it's a zoning exercise, but I think our best chance of success on this is having it rooted in the data.
Yeah, 20 research sources with over 14 partners that they use to collect the data.
So they collated this into an electronic file for us?
Yeah, I've got a PowerPoint, and like Marty said, I think we'll confirm the numbers. And I think that's how we'll confirm the numbers. We'll distribute it internally and take a look at it and see what the reliability is. I think.
Maybe
give
having,
it to the public.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just have a discussion, have an agenda item at our next meeting,
Yeah.
because I think it'd be good to have that understanding before the plan gets presented to us.
I would agree.
Okay.
And the last thing I would say is thrive and survive. That was the ad presentation. Our survival market's that 10 mile. That's what makes us survive through the non-seasonal time. The thrive is what we're trying, I think, next chapter that we'll hear from.
Mhm.
The tourism.
The bonus,
Yeah.
the icing on the cake.
Yep, that's it. Okay.
So, good discussion, thank you. Since you're on a roll, you want to talk about the READI grant application? We do have attached to this, I think, is the information of the work session on April 7th. So you got the application in?
I did. Okay, so yesterday I submitted the application for the READI grant. Moving forward with the Arts and Cultural Hub on Lakeshore. That project, brief description I have right here. If you guys want to grab one, that's fine. If not, we're looking at a project that is cooperative in nature with several different partners, including Marshall County Foundation, Community Foundation, Marshall County Tourism Visitor Center, and redevelopment, obviously, Town of Culver leading the charge, with its primary partner being the Maxinkuckee Performing Arts Theater Foundation. Working with them, as I explained to council last week, it's really two project streams married together with a common cause. When we were conceiving this project, in essence, it didn't make sense to go after a theater by itself, because the survivability and sustainability of dropping a theater in and not being thoughtful about its surrounding. How can we encourage and create a fostering neighborhood or an area that is going to feed that theater and promote it? Didn't seem like a sustainable model. Could it work? Yes. Is the theater big enough and driving enough that it could create a neighborhood? Possibly. But we're thinking best case scenario in terms of sustainability. Really, when we started looking, we have several projects that started popping up on the radar in the park area. The first one was speaking with Bob Porter and our utilities, and there is some infrastructure below Lakeshore Drive in that area that needs to be redesigned and rebuilt in order to promote not only growth, but just in terms of current use. There was also expression about pedestrian traffic over the summer. That seems to be an increasing issue. Parking has been an ongoing issue in that area for some time. And the park itself, there's an opportunity to redesign and realign parking and green space to be a little bit more conducive to festivals and gatherings, outdoor performances. There's upgrades to the electricity and sound system that can occur. The World Fair lights are beautiful, but they need the restoration. And I think there's a possibility there. We brought in Indiana landmarks, and the guy, we barely got him away from those pavilions. He loved them. They're 1905 and they need restored and they need preservation. They are truly gems, and I don't think there's anything like them in the state of Indiana left. If you go to England, you'll see them all over villages. The beach lodge needs some repair. ADA compliance, we've been talking with Braun. It seems like an opportunity, especially given the area, to do this project all at once. I think you're going to want to coordinate a massive project down there because of the importance to our community for public gatherings. We're going to have to time this thing right and be efficient getting it done. That being said, it made sense to go after READI. The plan and design is instrumental in this. I don't see popping this project for 2 to 3 years, but I think we want to be shovel ready when the next round of grants or possibility funding comes along.
So this application is for a design,
It's for
a complementary design for the performing arts, the park and the streetscape.
Absolutely. And I was going to get to that, but be nice, but no, Marty, you're absolutely right. It has absolute long-term impact. And I gave a synopsis for distribution for the CRC. I want you guys to walk away with these. I also included the budget on the back. What the overall budget of the project with all the land donation that's pending everything, the project's going to come off at 1.90634. So 1,590,634. That's most of it. A good portion of it's in the land, 600,000, which is already established. The theaters and the tentative parking lot donation that the fire department has approved. The master plan and streetscape, we did do a little shopping and got some numbers for that. We've also received a Marshall County Community Foundation grant. The lion's share of this is the planning and design. So the grant itself is $625,000. And even though READI doesn't require a project match, it does want that regional match. But the closer you come to matching, getting towards an 80% kind of scenario, the better your project stands in terms of competition. We came close, and I think we're incredibly competitive with our numbers, but there's an ask of redevelopment, and it's a pending ask, obviously, upon READI's approval of the project and the grant. But I would approach the redevelopment with a pending ask of about 180,000. If I think that's what we decided in the budget, Marty. At least that's the number I've got
That
from you.
covers your gap to get to your 80%?
No, it brings us closer.
It's the 20% side of it.
It brings us closer to it, but help me out, Marty.
Yeah,
with
I
the
had
number.
I had 100 in my mind. I thought this was the topic at the work session.
It was, but the budget you
But you
gave.
didn't come up with a number.
No, I didn't. And I'm
okay.
using your budget, Marty. And I'm sorry.
He did give us a lot of background.
Yeah,
I tried to, and I wasn't comfortable because we had not established, I hadn't got the budget
right.
yet.
So the way I think this works is the park plan by itself with the streetscape, we're guessing is 180,000 is.
That's right.
For that part. And then the theater design is there was a very broad range established, 500 to 750. So it went in at the midpoint, 625. So those are the two plans. And then on top of that, what you're using for the match is land.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got 1,400 hours, volunteer hours that the theater has already put into it, that you're allowed to count $30 an hour toward that.
32,354.
And then there's some legal fees and the startup analysis that they've done as well, which I think was also in that $30,000 range, right?
Yeah, and I was gonna ask you, Marty, that 180,000, because that was one line item on grant, but were you including? Would you help me explain that?
So
I'm
the
sorry.
cost is one thing and then the grants is another, right? So you gotta be careful not to mix them, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going through the cost figures right now, right?
Okay.
So you've got 625, you got 180, so you're at eight, you know, what are you at?
You're at
800 roughly.
805.
Then you got 400 for the land, and then you've got the legal fees and the volunteer work that's already been done, which counts towards the match. And then I think you had what am I missing? There's anything big from there
Other than,
on the cost side?
yeah, no, absolutely. Well, the demolition, I'm sorry, demolition,
Demolition
75
is-
grand, Marty.
Demolition's in 75.
Apologize.
Since they've already spent on here,
E-
there's a land donation potential.
Yes,
Right.
You figured out some things that are already expenditures that count toward it.
they go back to
Okay, so that's where the
2024.
match comes in,
Yeah.
and it's not 80-20, but the grant doesn't require 80-20 for this particular ready grant. I think the region has to balance to it, but any individual project doesn't need to balance.
That's correct.
80-20. So the thought was to have 100,000 from the redevelopment commission, and then 100,000 from the community foundation toward that
Thank you.
match as well. And then, so essentially what we're hoping to do is to get that $180,000 plan for 100 grand. That's what it does for us. And then it gets the theater their design plan.
When do you
Or-
find out if MCCF does that their part? Or do you know that they are already?
Pardon me,
When do you find out if MCCF is in?
they have already committed.
They've
Yeah. So they are, the way that the community foundation set it up was that the applications would go there first before they went to the region, and they had 2 weeks to decide if they wanted to support them going in as matching money. And they selected this as one of their projects to match.
So we're over,
That's awesome,
we're over,
yes.
and talking with Angela Workman, we're really, to be competitive, you gotta be at least 50%. And she said, we're good.
Yeah.
It was a compelling project. So if I understand, Marty, the number I'm looking at actually is counting the Marshall County community, and we were looking for 80,000, because
We're
originally
looking for
we talked-
100 from the redevelopment commission.
Okay.
That is what is in the application.
That's what, okay, and as you might have indicated, Marty did most of the budget numbers, and I did a lot of the wordsmithing, and so words are my thing. So I apologize, let me rephrase, and this makes it seem cheap now, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, because otherwise there wouldn't be anything in it for the redevelopment commission,
That's
right?
exactly
You know,
right.
for spending 180 per 180, but this gets us, 80,000 off the 180 if the grant goes through. And then it gives the theater group a lot, they basically get their plan, the architect rendering through granting, which would be a huge head start for them.
No, it seems to me that the numbers for the project for the park redoing.
The planning and design for that.
Well, but redoing, you were talking about the cost for redoing.
It's the cost for the
Plan
plan,
and design,
It's
sorry.
not the actual
Yeah.
construction.
Yeah.
So construction would become
But
a
it will-
potential different grant.
And that's why I said 2 to 3 years from now, we want to be shovel ready.
Comes out with a plan, we come up with
That's right.
is tying those two projects together.
Right,
And
because
then we could potentially apply for construction.
And 2 to 3, I think the next round, and at that point, I would envision after the plan and design, and it's so important because they are integral to each other's success. Once the plan and design for both of these projects are done, I could envision a separate stream for the construction. I think their timeline might be
Right,
different than
right.
ours.
Right.
And that's at that point, but I think that's why I'm saying 2 to 3 years. And I think that plan, there's so many moving parts to this, Sally, like everything I mentioned was part of that plan and design.
Yeah, okay.
I just want to make sure we
I
have it
thought-
coordinated. I apologize
That
if I
amount
said it.
just
Yeah.
sounded like a pittance by
Oh, my
comparison.
Yeah, that's a heck of a
I
bargain.
thought so.
Here's a question I have for you guys. If we, I think it's a brilliant concept and actually could be brilliantly implemented. And I think I follow where you're going with it. So let's say they come out with their design plan for the theater, along with their study and all the other stuff they'll put into that,
Mhm.
which will probably be exactly what they need to move forward. And we come up with our plan for the corridor, the park, et cetera. The common theme being arts and culture. Are we gonna kind of marry these under one umbrella in terms of, this is our arts and culture plan for Lakeshore Drive corridor,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And then you could potentially go after a construction grant, but you could also phase that in the event that we're ready and the movie theater's not yet, vice versa. They might be ready before we're
And
ready.
that's why I see it as two separate construction streams at that point.
Mhm.
But only after the cooperative process of, and it also is intricate about building the relationship between the two for future. But yes, your point, yes.
It's not
You
like
could,
we have to force them into one plan, but
No.
it could be there's planning going on along this corridor related to arts and culture. And we're, as a
That's-
town, gonna try to get
You
all
got
this
it.
done.
Yeah, because
It may be a 5-year scenario type of thing.
the application is presented as establishing a southern cultural node in Marshall County, in the region, right?
For Elkhart, South Bend,
Right.
yeah.
So, and essentially the bottom of a triangle. And that, the park renovation is presented in terms of its ability to better host festivals and attract artists and that kind of economic activity and put more artists to work, right? Hold more cultural events in the park. So that's how we're tying that park redesign into it. And you could make that same argument for construction aspect of it. As a furtherance of the
That makes the
initial.
same.
That would have been better served as oftentimes sticking to the script.
Yeah.
Culver's Lakefront Park, aging uptown theater and connecting street corridor together form a critical but underperforming civic and cultural spine in the South Bend Elkhart region. Building on past stellar and ready funding, this project will create integrated arts and cultural hub by redesigning the existing park for performances and festivals, replacing an obsolete theater currently owned by Maxinkuckee Performing Arts Theater Foundation with a modern community arts venue, and transforming the intervening street into a safe, walkable, well-lit corridor and improved parking, public art, and upgrade the underground utilities. READI 2.0 arts and culture funds are requested for expert-led planning, conceptual design, robust community engagement, cost estimating, and detailed design that will advance this concept from vision to shovel-ready within the state's implemented window. These efforts align precisely with the region's new community-driven South Bend Elkhart Region Arts and Cultural Plan and its focus on quality of place, talent attraction, and creative economy growth.
You did that in under 1,500 characters?
I did.
That's,
You're welcome.
that was really well put too.
No, I should probably say I had a.
I mean, in a nutshell, that's a really good paragraph. I like it.
Thank you.
That should just open the plan itself too.
And it does.
So
That's
we
all right.
put in our spending plan for the year, a park plan. I don't recall what we put in, but it was at least 100,000. I think we may have put in double that.
Mhm.
So, so I would recommend that we support the application with 100,000.
Yes.
And then, if the grant doesn't go through, well, then it just reverts right back into spending plan. And we got to figure out, we're gonna go forward with the park now or later, or what are we gonna do? We'll know by July.
Do we have to provide a resolution or a memo or something if we were to do that? I know the first ready round, you had to actually write it as a resolution, I think, but
It is in the application as requested. And we would, there's I think a 2-week period now for the region to review the applications and fine tune them. So yes, we probably would want to give them.
okay, at
And
least a
update.
copy of the minutes, which
Yeah.
we would need to do quickly.
Yeah. And that's why I'm bringing it up at this meeting, because Angela, when I was speaking with Angela Workman, the next after the 2 weeks, when they start moving it towards down the state, that's when they're going to want to see that budgetary evidence
Yeah.
of support.
Where Elkhart has to give it to the state.
That's correct.
I see what you're saying.
And for the time being, as a placeholder, and that's confirming it with Angela, I provided the minutes to the work session and with town. So there were some things there.
I think all we would have to do is authorize the funds, but also authorize the town manager to draft it as a resolution that approves of the funds, which is really simple. There might be a sample in the original ready of the resolution. Yeah. So you just probably use that as a template. We could just authorize Kevin to do it that way. You could authorize to sign it. I'm just figuring out the logistics for having seen it because I know what they're gonna ask.
Yep, and I appreciate you.
And it's matching.
Yeah.
It's against the matching.
Okay.
So Marty, were you saying 100,000, but the ask was 180? I don't have the sheet in front of me,
Sarah.
so.
The estimated cost just for the park plan is 180.
Okay, I see.
And that's what I was reading, and I apologize for that. That was me.
So 180, 625 is the theater estimate plan. And then everything else you guys talked about is some sort of in kind
In-kind.
or
Yep.
other type
Yeah.
of
Right.
expenditure like the legal fees.
Yes. It's park and streetscape,
Yeah,
the utility placement.
I'm
Replacement, yeah.
pretty sure I know where you got your estimate from on the park plan. So
Yeah.
I prefer not to vote on this, but, and recuse myself, but I think you did a good job with the application, Kevin and Marty.
Well,
And I feel like I really understand it now. Just that paragraph alone was brilliant.
Marty did pretty good with the numbers too. Marty did pretty good with the paragraph too. It's been in my head for a while. Marty found
I
some words
really
for
think
it.
it's the ideal type of project
Yes,
they're looking for.
it's Kevin's vision. It's
Really
Kevin's vision.
Stop.
great.
I am,
idea.
as you speak, I'm gonna actually distribute this because I pulled the numbers from the actual application that he provided me. And then there's a long-term impact sustainability on that as well. Some of the reasons why we're doing it. There's two sections of the grant itself.
So work for the minutes because I was trying to take notes on.
Sometimes Kevin does things in reverse order, Jenny.
I don't have to listen to the recording now.
The grant administration's in there too.
Okay. All right.
So I'll entertain a motion then to empower our town manager to write a communications resolution supporting the application for the
100,000.
Maxinkuckee Arts Quarter and Performing Arts Hub at $100,000 matching dollars, subject to the match.
I just have one quick question before we vote on it. Is this something that retail strategies that we would be kind of, the plan I'm saying, for that area, is that something we would want to consult with them about as well? As far as layouts and what they anticipate business-wise in that area?
I think, may I, Marty?
Please.
Okay. Sarah, I think that I would like them to be involved in identifying possible businesses from an economic standpoint on the market gap analysis of it, where our potential growth. I want them aware of the vision for that area to coordinate that growth. But in terms of design and planning, I want a dedicated firm that is specialized in streetscape, festival, kind of public space to design that.
Okay.
If that is what, I think that's what you're asking me.
Yes, it is.
And I want a firm that comes in that does that, that will be able to translate to, because we're going to have a relationship with retail strategy that's going to overlap with this project.
Mhm.
And I think there's value putting those two voices together in communication for vision. So yes.
Okay, good.
So we can have a motion or a discussion, or we can have more discussion and then a motion. It's up to you.
I make a motion to authorize the town manager to write a letter of support from the CRC stating that we would offer or that we would commit $100,000 to the match for the Maxinkuckee Arts Corridor, the Performing Arts Hub. And do I need to make that the match being contingent on being awarded the grant?
I think by calling it matching funds, it is contingent.
Okay.
And it would be if I could suggest you amend it to say resolution rather than a letter.
I thought I said resolution.
Okay,
You said letter of support, but that's okay.
Oh.
Resolution works.
all right.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a
I'll second.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. So motion by Ms. Ricciardi, seconded by Ms. Jones. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the roll call, please.
Marty Oosterbaan,
Aye.
Sally Ricciardi,
Aye.
Jerry Siler,
Aye.
Sarah Jones.
Aye.
Thank you for,
Thank you, Kevin, for all your hard work on that.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Marty, for the guidance on it.
Good team.
Yep.
Good teamwork. Yeah. It was great working with the theater group too.
Absolutely.
Okay, hey,
Am I up?
Tracy, I think you've been patient with us.
No, I thought there was something before me.
First, but that's all right.
Well,
Whatever you want to do.
and if you don't mind.
Well, she's online, but
Oh, she's online. If she's
Do it,
online,
do it,
then let's
Do it.
go in the
You're
order.
good.
All right, next, new business, Façade grant request, 108 North Main Street. Thank you, Sarah. Sally.
take one and pass those down.
There we go.
Pass it around.
The applicant is Mary Wynn from Winning the Day LLC. It's 108 North Main Street. And she's requesting to put a new roof on the building as well as new front doors. And she has these, you see the.
Yep.
I put the higher prices on first and then the lower quotes on the as second. That would be all new door or the two new doors, front and back door, door trim, hardware, and the cost of the new doors. We have a total on the high side of $39,989 and on the lower side $33,930.20, which would give you 50% of that would be $16,965.10. I don't know if she has any comments that she would like to make. But she was online.
This is Marty, right? Marty went?
Yeah, Marty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, this is Marty Wynn. I was just going to be on here in case you guys had any questions or.
I don't. It looks like all of these qualify on the facade grant. So I would make the motion that we approve $16,965.10 for the facade grant for 108 North Main Street.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Ms. Munroe and a second from Ms. Jones. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the roll call, please.
All right, Marty Oosterbaan,
Aye.
Sally Ricciardi,
Aye.
Jerry Siler,
Aye.
Sarah Jones.
Aye.
I am also an aye.
Okay, great. Thank you for your work on the facade. We're happy to
Thank
help.
you. We appreciate it. We're looking forward to being a part of Culver.
Wonderful.
Yes, welcome to Culver.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Now, Tracy, if you announce yourself for the record.
I will.
please, and tell us
Tracy
what-
Gordon. I'm the executive director of the Culver and Lake Maxinkuckee Visitors Center. I'm here today to ask for $5,000 for our Culver paint out. I know I came to you in September of 2025 and put together our what we were going to use and ask for 2026, but I had just started in my role, trying to get up to speed and get in here to make sure that we were funded for 2026. The Culver paint out is every other year, so it never really came across my desk until I had a conversation with the founder of Culver paint out, Jeffrey, and we had a 1-hour meeting turned into 4. So I've learned everything I can about the paint out. I actually really enjoyed it. So, but so I didn't ask in my original plan for anything for the paint out. One of the things that we do is partner with, you guys probably already know more than I do, but with the Heartland. And so in the past, to my knowledge, if I'm wrong, please let me know. We have given Heartland, CRC has given Heartland some money. And what I've found is, in talking with Jeffrey, out of that 5,000, 2,500 went to them. And then the rest would be used for the Plein Air magazine. And that would be like if we're advertising and things like that. It's a little bit later in the game. So we're not gonna spend probably all those dollars, but I do want to just ask for that 5,000. Because I think that we're gonna be doing some banners and things that Jeffrey and I spoke about the other day, was trying to get those banners done now. So during Lake Fest, we can promote that. Promoting, we really don't do a good job or haven't done a good job, and really would like to start doing that. So that's my ask. Do you have any questions?
I don't recall the Heartland part of it. Karen. Do we have like an MOU with them for it? Do you remember us doing that?
Don't.
I also wondered if the visitor center gave that money,
Them and
but but he said that we've always gotten $5,000 from CRC. But I'm not really sure. I've contacted our treasurer, which is a new treasurer for visitor center. So she's trying to dig in and trying to figure out what we did.
Amber will probably be able to help.
I already got three calls into her. One call and 2 texts. So I'm just trying to figure out what, and I did go back and look in our budget, but it didn't specifically say where the money came from. So, and again, this is 2 years. It wasn't last year when I was on board as events with Andrea. This was the year before I started. And looking back at the date, that was always a volleyball weekend, which my daughter played volleyball, so we were always out of town. So I haven't even, as a participant, been a part of it. So that's why I enjoyed the 4-hour conversation with lots of stories, but it gave me a better understanding of what was going on.
I don't have any problem with the 5,000. I think if part of this went to Heartland for them to advertise their market or do something with it, you would have to make sure there's an agreement written between them and the town, or the CRC rather, because Karen would get audited if the money goes to a nonprofit. If it's just going into the visitor center and you're using it for advertising, plein air advertising, like the magazine makes sense, then you don't have to worry about that type of agreement. Just so you know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
We get audited and Karen then has to explain why we gave to a nonprofit and there's no agreement in place that says, in exchange for these funds, this nonprofit will do this for this event. Then it's okay, kind of like what you guys do with us.
Correct.
I will say we have not given directly to the Heartland because I just
Yeah.
Yeah.
double check. So I
So
think
probably filtered through the visitor
Visitor
center.
center.
then.
I'm just wondering if it contributed to the prize to the artists,
Oh, that could be, yeah.
and that went through the Heartland.
Yeah.
So is that something you guys do, or should I run that through?
Well, I think we
Visitor
need to
center?
know what the usage is for the whole 5,000. So if you
Okay.
come back to us on that, but we
Yeah.
can approve this subject to
Okay.
you coming back and telling us, right? So you know
Okay.
you got it. And,
Yeah.
the Plein Air has been a really good, it's been really good exposure from what I understand. The Plein Air magazine,
Yeah.
you know, the spread that we've done in the past. Are you saying it's too late to do that?
No,
again
it's
this
not.
year?
It's just what we would have done if I would have came to you last September and said we were doing the paint out. We would have started then and started advertising with them
And their
and
magazine.
getting into their
Yeah.
magazine. So instead of maybe spending $1,500, maybe we're gonna go with 900 or 600. I don't know what, he's gonna call, he's got a contact there.
Right.
So he's gonna call them and then give me a layout of what's going on.
Yeah,
So if we did that and we did the Bowen, like, I know there's gonna be some printing that's gonna be done. And some, like I talked about the banners and things like that. He was talking about like 6 banners and I was like, okay, I gotta find some pictures too. I gotta figure out what we're doing here. So,
okay. Well, you do that, but come back to us to let us know,
Okay.
you know, what the ultimate expenses are and what they are for.
okay, I can do that. And then I just want to tell you that usually it's in September. This year it's gonna be in August 14th, 15th and 16th. So I'm sure you're gonna get a phone call.
August 14th through the 16th.
Mhm. It's also the weekend that they drop off the students for the academy weekend.
Oh, when school starts.
That might be a good, we looked at the calendar. He gave me 3 different dates and the other 2 we had things going on. So I tried to pick a weekend that we didn't have anything. I mean, that's going on, but I also feel like that's a good thing that's going on. Good crossing. Well, thank you guys for listening to me. I appreciate
Well,
it.
I think we need to approve the allocation, right?
I think it would be, maybe we approve the allocation of the funds for marketing and advertising of Plein Air. Because we trust Tracy to spend it that way. Banners would be advertising, ads in the magazine would be. And that way, whatever else is going on with the event, our funds would be used for that and you would turn in your invoices like usual for Karen, so she knows it's advertising and marketing. And that would be the easier way, I think, to handle it. That makes
You
sense.
good with that?
Yeah, I'm
Tracy?
great with that.
Okay.
That's fine. And if, when I talked to Jeffrey, if that is something that, if those were the prize, if that is the, what he's talking about, the prize money going to Heartland, the visitor center we can funnel that out. So I don't want that to become an issue.
Yeah, we just, we are statutorily restricted in
Correct.
where our dollars go. So we need to make sure we understand it before you commit it. If it's something that is clearly like advertising banners. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
understood. Thank you very
So on
much.
that basis, I think I heard a motion.
Yeah, I would make the motion to approve 5,000 for advertising and marketing of the Plein Air event to go to the visitor center. And then she can turn in the receipts like she's used to doing with the visitor center. So Karen knows that's what it's being spent on.
Cheryl second rather than Beck.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
I was just waiting to see if she was finished.
All right, we'll do a roll call, please,
Yes. Hold on.
When
Just
you're
reading
ready.
what I motioned.
when you're ready, right?
Marty Oosterbaan,
Aye.
Sally Ricciardi,
Aye.
Jerry Siler,
Aye.
Sarah Jones,
Hi.
and I'm an I.
Okay,
I appreciate it. Thank you
yeah,
all.
thank you, Tracy. Yeah, I remember working with you as you were putting your budget together, and we worked off of last year's
We
budget that
did.
2 years ago, which would have had the Plein Air in it, so
Yeah.
fully understand.
Yeah, and he got back to me and like reached out to me. It was like January 10th, and I was like, I'm already done.
All
So,
right, great,
okay,
Great.
thank you,
Thanks
thank
again.
you.
Appreciate your work.
Thank you.
All right, town manager report is next. Do you have anything else for us, Kevin?
You've heard a lot, but I'm gonna say one thing that, just to follow up on both retail strategies and the READI grant. I think we're in an opportunity in the next 2 to 3 years to integrate planning and design towards something that is not isolated projects. Of course, the READI grant is one avenue towards the plan and design for that park area. I think there's multiple avenues. This is the desirable one and the competitive one. The strength of this project and the necessity of this project doesn't go away pending READI's results. In my opinion, I'd ask the council to consider that as well as CRC. I think that the timing is too right to work with the theater and retail strategies, and the cost of it is effective. We're going to need a CCMG grant for Uptown. We're going to need grants towards the park, and I think being ready for it and giving ourselves a 2 or 3 year window to provide that preparation is wise. So we're not rushing construction, and that's the key to the success. So that's my mindset, at least, and any guidance that can be provided, I'm absolutely open to. Please, because I can't even get numbers. No, I'm kidding. I always appreciate that guidance and input. So thank you.
I think it's the right approach, Kevin.
Thank you.
For knowing that something's coming up in the future rather than find out it's due tomorrow.
You and me, Sally, riding that bus together.
It's also a lot easier to get money. Figured it out.
Like data.
Well, that's my sense. And Kevin has shared some conversations that there's interested citizens that are just waiting for plans to, to support. And all the things that I've read about it, towns that have successfully renovated parks or downtowns, it always starts with a combination of philanthropy and municipal dollars, and then the private dollars follow. But you gotta start the engine, and I think that's essentially what this opportunity is, an opportunity to start the engine.
And timing wise, to have this theater group amping up their planning and getting ready, I think it's really kind of all came together at the right time. Because that's been in the making for a long time, but I'm not sure we would have been ready 8 years ago because we were doing Stellar and we looked at the theater back then during Stellar, we looked at it at regional Stellar, it just, none of it was ready yet. Ironically, the word ready just keeps happening, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, the theater had indicated that they were going to submit to the community foundation. And Kevin had been talking about the plan. We've been talking about the park plan for a while, and it was kind of an obvious thing. What if you put them together? Would it make for, because you're always trying to aggregate these projects to make them bigger, because bigger is more attractive in the eyes of the evaluators for these grants. And it just seemed like a natural, and Kevin put the vision together, and here we are. So yeah, I think we got something pretty cool. All right, public input. Member input. No, Jerry, Ginny.
I don't have anything other than to say thanks for working on all of this. I know the kind of work that goes into those
Yes, you
grants.
do.
So.
I'll second that, and I don't have any member input.
All right, thank you. And Ginny, you're much too modest. I know you had a hand in getting this application in shape, so thank you for your work on it too. And I've said all, probably need to say, so I'm gonna pass. Karen, anything? Evan? Well,
Sarah.
with that, Sarah, sorry.
I'm looking.
No, that's okay. I just want to say I really enjoyed the retail strategy session. Oh, I can't speak. And the woman we did the grant for the Façade grant, new to the community, but Academy parents. I think she's got a lot of good energy that she's bringing in. So hopefully we bring in these new building owners, hopefully bringing in new businesses too.
He asked us about the facade grant after that. So the fact that those things were coming up, he drew in a business owner, which was really cool.
Anything else,
That's
Sarah?
great.
Nope, that's it.
Great. Well, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Jerry, I'll make motion.
Jerry?
I'll second.
All right, motion by Mr. Siler, seconded by Ms. Ricciardi.
Marty Oosterbaan,
Aye.
Siler Ricciardi,
Aye.
Tracy, Jones, and I'm good.
This
Aye,
meeting,
aye.
thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you.